Those of you that are watching us online, we welcome you, we thank you. This morning, those of you that are watching us online, we welcome you, we thank you, we appreciate you for all of the work that you do wherever you are across the country, particularly the work that you do in advancing the cause of social justice. For those of you who got up to be with us and be a part of the program this morning, we thank you. We ask that if you are coming to, and we hope that you are, coming to the convention this year, that you can register right now, right where you are at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. The convention is free, it's going to be full, it's going to be packed, it's going to be exciting. We've got lots of people lined up to be here that you want to see, meet, and know, and hear, and you can do that by registering right where you are, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Thank you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We're back, brothers and sisters. We're here. We're live. We're in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM. I want you to get on your feet right now for the hardest working man in social justice, the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Now!
Hug the person next to you, tell them you love them. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, tell me where would I be? Where would I be if it had not been for the Lord on my side? Tell me where would I be? Oh, where would I be? He kept my enemies away. He let the sunshine through a cloudy day. He rocked me in the cradle of his arms when he knew I had been mad and gone. So if it had not been for the Lord on my side, tell me where would I be? Tell me where would I be? Tell me where would I be? Oh, where would I be? Give a hand, Brother Brevon. Neil, give him a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be here another Saturday morning for you that are here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York or watching on live stream around the country at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We're happy to be with you another Saturday where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Harding, and to all of those that have participated in the program thus far. Let me say we are dedicating this broadcast rally this morning to the legacy and memory of Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Shabazz, who 50 years ago today was assassinated not far from here. And we'll be joined in a moment by one of his daughters. As you know, his daughters are here often, and today being the 50th anniversary, they're making different stops, but Ilyasa is a few blocks from here and is going to come. Then this afternoon, there will be a ceremony at the Audubon that many of you will attend. I'm going to try to get back from my speaking, but whether I'm there or not, wherever you are, at 3:10, you should pause and remember the legacy of Malcolm X. And I'm going to talk about that some more when Ilyasa gets here. Call somebody, you that are listening to Radio Land, and tell them to tune in. I did not grow up in the Malcolm movement. I was 9 going on 10 when he was killed. And when I was 12, joined Dr. King's movement. For many years, we thought there was a conflict. But as I became close with his widow, Dr. Betty Shabazz, who are my daughters, Dominique and Ashley, she became their godmother. I began to understand the confluence of Dr. King and Malcolm rather than the conflict that we thought in school. I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about y'all's former mayor, Rudy Giuliani. And I want to talk about the Oscars. So I got a lot I want to talk about today. So y'all get your buddies on the phone and tell them turn on the show and hear what I have to say on those issues. Let me say, though, in terms of some of the housekeeping, as Attorney Hardy said, we are already well over hundreds have pre-registered for the National Action Network National Convention, April 8th through the 11th here in the city at the Sharpton. This is going to be a vitally important convention because this is the last full year of President Obama being in office. By next year, this time, we will be getting ready for the election of his successor. This year, we want to mark from April to April of 16 what we want to get done before everybody gets into who's going to replace Obama mode. It's very important. That's right. How do we wind down health care, criminal justice, the reforms in terms of mandatory sentencing? How do we deal with voting? 2 weeks from now, we'll be in Selma. President is coming, and all of us will be there commemorating the 50th anniversary of the march in Selma. Selma was not just a movie. Selma was a movement. The movie is about a movement. Well, what are we saying? What are we going to do? What are we going to enact? That's what the convention is going to be about. I was in the White House yesterday meeting with some of the top policy advisors, some of the cabinet members and policy deciders and governors and others, as well as leading thought activists and as well as those that are leading civil rights organizations. All will be part of these 3 days. Anthony Anderson, who stars on Blackish, is coming. I mean, many in the arts, because we need over these 3 days to deal with what we're dealing with. And I want you to pre-register, because if we get capacity in one room in pre-registration, we're closing it down. Do not come like some come and say, oh, I'm a member, and I didn't pre-register. Or I listen on the radio, and I didn't pre-register, and I want to get in this part and give my input. You can do that if you're on the list now. And I'm telling you now, we started last week, we already have well over 1,200 people that's registered. Pre-register now. Otherwise, y'all will come and see the lobby of the hotel. So call 1-877-626-4651. 1-877-626-4651. Or you can go online and register at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. www.nationalactionnetwork.net. net. Now, the other thing that I think is important is we are building. One of the things that I've said, one of my goals in life was to build a permanent organization that goes beyond the lifespan of its founders. There are many people that start groups that don't last the year. We will next month rather, be 24 years old. First rally of National Action Network. First rally of National Action Network was in March of 1991. So next month we will have been doing rallies every Saturday for 24 years. And I think that it is important that as we get ready for next year's silver anniversary, and as we have transition from generation to generation of leadership, that we have this clearly done in a spirit of what it is we can achieve. If we go back to where we started with racial profiling laws in Jersey, with the Jersey 4 case, all the way to dealing with how we reform stop and frisk just last year in this city, we can talk about the social policies that we have impacted and represented. And I think that that is how you measure something. The distortions come because you are effective. Let's be real clear. People try to make their reputations by taking shots at stuff, not because they got a hobby, but because they're trying to steer social policy another way. Am I clear? That's why folk distort what we do. That's why people exaggerate and lie. You got some here now to distort. And just because they clowning don't mean that I'm going to get distracted. There's a difference between clowns and those that watch clowns. I get to see watch clowns. Hello. But they're doing them entertaining themselves. We must build concretely. Now, we've opened an office in Staten Island. National Action Network Staten Island chapter under Cynthia Davis on Jersey Avenue, Jersey Street. That office is open. Why? Because we didn't just run to Staten Island around Ferguson. Eric Gardner's mother sitting here. We didn't just run around out of Ferguson, Eric Gardner. We were already in Staten Island when Ferguson happened. When Mrs. Mother, Mrs. Carr, and the wife, Mrs. Gardner, had met with us. They were here every Saturday when Ferguson happened. It's part of the foolishness of the right wing. I want to get it right because they're here, so write this down. If y'all can spell, I'll help you. We come when we are asked to come. There are a lot of shootings that we don't come because we've not been asked to come. Hello. We came at the request of the mom and wife of Eric Gardner. We came to Ferguson at the request of Michael Brown's family. I was there 2 days after that. Grandfather got on phone and asked me, and got on my TV show and asked us to come. Now, since we clear why we there, why were y'all there? Y'all were there to distort why we were there. And nobody invited y'all. Yeah, it's just like, well, Rev Mal. Yeah. I was talking to this about 6 months ago, I guess. National Action Network, and you owe taxes. I said, no. What do you mean? You got all these tax liens. I said, those liens are from '09. There's a signed agreement how you pay them all. We've been paying every month. We're at the end now. And y'all going by the original figures that are not removed until you pay the whole lien. That's like J.P. Morgan Chase makes an agreement. You pay it off. You don't write one check. What's the difference? Donald Trump filed bankruptcy. You work off your financial ring. So why y'all just say, oh, you owe me? No, there was liens in '08 while Bush was president. We made an agreement that we lived up to. Oh, that ain't what we got. That ain't what y'all wrote. Y'all know better than that. If we owed millions of dollars, do you think I could be open and they not be garnishing pay and not be doing it? I mean, cause y'all ain't that stupid, but you want the public to be that stupid. Hello. Now, I say all that to say, as we deal with expansion, Staten Island Officer Nan, this afternoon, I'm very proud that our Brooklyn coordinator and our chapter leader in Brooklyn, the Reverend Minister Kevin McCall. Stand up, Reverend. Give him a hand. Kevin McCall is starting National Action Network House of Justice Saturday afternoon rallies in Brooklyn, my home Brooklyn. And they're going to meet Brooklyn East House of Justice, 42 Belmont Avenue in Brooklyn at 12 noon. They start every week. So you that are in Brooklyn can support the House of Justice Brooklyn rallies, noon every Saturday. And Kevin McCall, he can preach too, is going to be heading them up in Brooklyn East. Today they're going to start with a prayer vigil for Devin Pickett and Evan Parker Jr. Many of y'all heard about the killing of one of the group members with Nicki Minaj, the singer, rapper. And the one young man that was killed is a member of David Wright's church. And David Wright, as you know, was here last couple of weeks ago. And we are having a prayer vigil in Brooklyn East for them on this week, this Saturday, starting our weekly rally. Now, I want everybody to support him, and I want everybody to have that family in prayer. Some of the people that I met with last week was in the music business. You know, I went to the Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary, and I was talking with Kanye West and Kim and all of them. And one of the things that I think that is not clear is that if you talk to folk, folk will then respond. But if you don't talk to people, then people will not know what to respond to. And I think that that is important, that we make that distinction. I'm going to interrupt my remarks. Let me bring up on this day, and then I'm going to get into my message after, because I want her to be able to get in and out as she has to get down to Melissa's show. 50 years ago, her father was assassinated. And I think that it is a tribute to the legacy of her father and mother that she continues their work. You know, I'm one of those that get up very early in the morning. One of the great things this morning, I woke up and started reading the paper. At 5 o'clock this morning, I was reading in the New York Times a piece that Ilyasa did about her father being killed 50 years ago. And I want everybody to read it, because she says that my father would be proud of what's going on, but he would also be cautious. He'd be glad to see what a lot of the young people are doing. Some of the young people in Nan, some of the other young people that we've had with Miss Carr, Eric Gardner's mother's here, Ilyasa, right behind. And what we've done in Ferguson. But he'd also say, but don't reduce it to slogans and just one or two dramatic events organized. Now, I was too young to know her father, but I got to know her mother very well. Me and her was on the same diet together, chickens and waffles and syrup at Wells. And she became Dominique and Ashley's godmother. One of the things that her mother used to pound in us, education, education, education. You cannot embarrass us. You can't teach what you don't know. What his daughters represent today is real leadership. Anger without an agenda is exploitative. Don't exploit Malcolm. Duplicate and build on what Malcolm was about. Nobody articulated it better than Ilyasah Shabazz did in the New York Times this morning 50 years later. She could have wrote about the conspiracy to kill her father, because all that were responsible has not paid. She could have wrote about the slogans. She could have written about how the government tried to discredit him and now there's a U.S. postage stamp. She chose to challenge us on his meaning, and that shows who understands that legacy better than anyone. I'm sure he is proud of his daughter. Can you imagine what the New York Times was writing about Malcolm 50 years ago, and now Malcolm's daughter is writing on the op-ed page of the New York Times about her daddy. That's how far we've come. When Malcolm challenged the civil rights movement about let's also deal with human rights, there was the debate. Now it's on the op-ed page of the Times. So it's with great pride I not only bring you one of his daughters, but the one that understands and has that torch to understand what it means. A lot of folk have babies, but a lot of times your baby don't understand what you're about. She is an interpreter of Malcolm. A half a century later, my friend and sister, Ilyasah Shabazz.
Thank you, I'm very appreciative. You know, when my mother passed away, I took a step back and I looked at her, and I didn't look at her as my mother, I just looked at her as a woman to see who she was. And I was so inspired by her, and I knew that she was very much committed to making sure that her husband was not written out of history. She said that there were so many times he was not home with his family because he was out doing the work for us. He wanted to uplift his people, re-liberate his people, make sure that his people understood that they had a purpose in life, and to ensure that we empowered the next generation. And so I felt so compelled to try and do whatever it was that I could for my father, not because, again, he was my father, but because of the work that he did for all of us. And so I don't think it's only my responsibility, I think it's all of our responsibilities. If we are adults and responsible, educated, well-informed, that we need to make sure that we take care of our children and that our educational curriculums are inclusive of our history. You know, that it's inclusive all the time, not just during the month of February, but that it's a part of our American educational curriculum. And the only way that's going to happen is if we do it. You know, when we understand history, we understand that we can't sit back and wait for someone to do something for us. They haven't already done it, that it's our responsibility and that we have to do it. And so it is because of these reasons, because I love my people, because I love our children, because I believe in all of us, that I will continue to do this work. Thank you very much.
All right, give her another hand. Now, as I said, growing up, the debate was, are you with Martin or with Malcolm? Being that I grew up in the Church of God in Christ, And I grew up at a time in Malcolm's time, because you got to remember, New York was Malcolm's base, even after he left the Nation of Islam. Bishop Washington, my pastor, brought me to Reverend William Jones when I was 12 and said, since he's got all this activist fervor in him, I want him to at least stay with preachers. And that's how I ended up in Operation Breadbasket, became the youth director of New York, and grew up in the King movement. I thought the conflict was we were against Malcolm, the Malcolmites was against us. Part of who showed me the confluence of that, where you can reconcile and find the common ground in both, was the co-chair of Operation Breadbasket, Reverend Herbert Dorchman, where you don't have to choose between your mama and your daddy because you're the child of both of them. Sitting around arguing about Martin and Malcolm is like sitting around arguing about your mama and daddy. When you are an equal result, I'm more like my mama. Well, I'm more like my daddy. Well, some days you are more like your mama. And some days you are more like your daddy. But every day you are a result of both. Every day. And we are, in 2015, 50 years after Malcolm's assassination, 50 years after the march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, 51 years after the March on Washington, we are a result of Martin and Malcolm, and can acknowledge and deal with the contribution of both. And the only ones that are arguing about it are the ones that didn't follow either one of them. You got those that went to Washington with us for the 50th anniversary march, having a Martin fit. And ain't done nothing since and didn't do nothing before. You will have those today that will have a Malcolm fit, that done nothing that Malcolm talked about before or after. If you asked me on the Times this morning, he talked about the ballot or the bullet. Some ran right past the ballot to the bullet because they know they ain't gonna shoot nobody, they just talking. And then when somebody gets shot, those that won't do that like us get blamed for it. Hello. Malcolm taught us pride and self-esteem and self-empowerment and to think universal. That does not contradict the nonviolent social change civil rights movement that I grew up in. It complements it. But those that want to stop both try to make a conflict. So whether your style is, let me tell you something, we had different tribes in Africa. We've never been all in the same tribe, but we the same people. Everybody ain't got to dress like you to be black. We've always had different styles, different cultural manifestations, but understood we were one people. Why we got to get over here now and all got to act like you in order to be black? Our celebration of Malcolm, even as an organization that comes out of the King tradition, is clearly to acknowledge the social and historic impact. And those that will go and acknowledge that this afternoon at the Audubon should do it from every walk of life in our community. That's why Yasser wanted to be here. That's why Dr. Shabazz spent so much time with me, even though I come out of a different tradition. And one of the things that she respected about me is she said, you don't act like you come out of Malcolm's tradition. But let me tell you what Malcolm tried to do. He hoped that it helped King. saying if they don't want to see me, maybe to help them deal with King. You get folk today that don't have the strategic sense of saying that you got Nan and Sharpton or you got to deal with this. They so busy beating up on us rather than dealing with having a strategic 1-2 punch. Hello? That the people lose. Malcolm said, I went to Selma to show the alternative to King, to help King. He didn't go to Selma to condemn King. These folks show up to try to get in the way of folk that are after the same thing they are, which shows a lack of seriousness. I want us to be real clear. So when I look at people like Sister Shakur, all the way to people that are much more conservative, but all in the network, because it's about how we struggle for real change. We got some black revolutionaries, Latino revolutionaries, white revolutionaries, and Uncle Tom's in National Action Network. Oh yeah, got some lifetime members that are Uncle Tom. I'll call them out if y'all want me to. I'll wait till the convention. I'm gonna give out some Tom Awards this year. But it's all right, because Tom had a role. Even Tom had a role. Salam, if Tom gave the boss the wrong information, that'll help us out too. I tell you, you want to be a Tom Good. Now let me tell you how you can help us. Go back and tell the boss we showed up at 12 and give him the wrong street, because we're going to show up at 10 at the right street. You can be a Tom, you got a role, confuse the boss. Just don't lie, don't tell me that you a revolutionary, say I'm a Tom. Good, now let me give you the Tom assignment. I can work with anything. So as we mobilize, we lost the other couple of weeks ago, we lost our New York chapter, Teresa Freeman. As we organize behind her, I'm gonna organize in each one of these committees in the cabinet as a pro going forward that will understand how you get in and organize. I've asked a young man that's traveled all over the world with me, Stephen Marshall, to coordinate that, to work with the cabinet. Where's Stephen? Stephen, stand up. I'm putting over the reorganization of that chapter. I want him to get with every auxiliary leader, chapter leader of a committee is going to sit with Stephen this week as we reorganize that as Teresa's no longer there. Now, so all y'all running around talking about y'all head of the committee? Good, I'm going to see. Because that's the process. I'm going to appoint Stephen who report directly to me and to the region. Because we intend, I'm not opening up these offices just to have awnings outside. I'm not starting these rallies. We intend to organize down on the ground. Runs me right into y'all's former mayor. When Rudolph Giuliani said that the president didn't love America, when he comes back now and say the president was raised by communists and socialists, and that he doesn't know if it's anti-colonialism, he doesn't think it is just his blackness because he was raised by whites. Don't y'all understand y'all are dealing with ramblings of a fading Republican who's saying do anything for attention. Rudy, first of all, needs a hug. Y'all haven't paid him no mind. Next reporter that interview him, hug him first. He needs a hug. He's lonesome. Because you say stuff that matters. He got out there and attacked me, got a little thing, so you figure now you attack the president. I don't know where he's going next. But if you really look at Rudy Giuliani, what he is doing is that he has built a lot of his career on playing with race codes. That is what he did to David Dinkins. That is what he did to activists when he was mayor. He's doing to the president what he did to Dave Dinkins to become mayor. He did to black activists like us when we were raising questions of Diallo. He doesn't know anything but playing coded race games. And he's doing it at the expense of the Republican Party that's trying to reach out while he's going back into race codes and will end up alienating and isolating their ability to reach out. The best thing that can happen to the Democrat that succeeds President Obama is Rudy Giuliani to keep running his mouth. Give him all the airtime you can give him, because he doesn't know but one song to sing, and that's race code songs. And the more he sings it, because he don't realize it's 2015. He thinks this is 93 when he ran and started that coded things, pogrom. That didn't happen. And Staten Island Succession, that didn't happen. Isn't it funny we went from Staten Island Succession to Eric Garner and Rudy's still talking the same language as before? But that's how he won. And some folk don't understand that you can get a hit record in 93. And a lot of folk buying records now wasn't even born then. President is not race, I think might be socialism or anti-colonialism. That's what he said. Rudy, all of us are supposed to be anti-colonial. That's what the American Revolution was about. Hello? Are you saying the president should be pro-colonialism? I mean, and the reporters just write this stuff like it makes sense. His grandfather was a World War II veteran. So his grandfather didn't raise him to love America. Then what did his grandfather go and defend the country for? Oh no, but the president grew up around communists. Saul Alinsky, you know. He grew up with his grandma and granddaddy and mama. His granddaddy was a veteran. Whoever he met as activists when he was grown and had been to school was not how he grew up. But you're dealing with race codes. And you're dealing with, he knows, just throw it out there and they eat it up. And I'm saying, let them keep eating it up. Because it is a different electorate now. It's just like he used to demonize me and it didn't work. He trying to demonize the president will drive people so far away from that party that nothing else could help more than for Rudy to be the poster boy of the Republicans going forward. Nothing would be better. They don't even need to spend money. Just keep bringing him out. I was in Washington yesterday. Folk was like, what is wrong with him? I said, we've been on him a long time. This ain't new. Amadou Diallo was killed. 41 shots at him, 19 hit him while he was mad. We asked to meet. He refused to meet. We started going to jail at the suggestion of Reverend Daughtry and Councilman Barron, who wasn't in the council there, and did where we ended up with Academy Award winners. Susan Sarandon went to jail with us. Former Mayor Fingers went to jail with us. And Rudy's standing up in City Hall talking about, I was just calling me names. Rabbis, preachers laying out going to jail because he misses it. The way you build a movement is when you find people that are so divorced from reality that they talking to themselves in public. And I knew that he couldn't see it, so I just kept building. Because he's so caught up in his fixation. Dinkins, Sharpton, calling them names. You don't realize everybody don't agree with that. And if you are smart, you look at the weakness of your adversary. I'm telling you, he has no connection to reality. So step back and let him keep making mistakes. And you just keep the camera on him. And the minute he quiet down, bait him some more. And he'll wake up and do some more. It is very interesting that the DNC met while Rudy was talking. Because the best thing that happened for them is for Rudy to become the symbol. All weekend now, they're going to be talking about Rudy. That's great for the Democratic Party. They're going to be talking about Scott Walker and Jeb Bush and whatever they posit. They're going to be talking about Rudy Giuliani trying to do the Dinkin Sharpton on Barack Obama. And that really makes sense to him. But because he thinks that he's still in charge and has a huge following. Shh. He really believes that. And let him think it now, and he'll keep talking. Tomorrow is the Academy Awards in Hollywood. The Los Angeles chapter of National Action Network, Reverend Toulis, has announced they're going to picket the Academy. Some of the press is distorting it that we are out there for Selma, the movie. No. What we're saying is that the selection of the process, the academy, in itself shows the lack of diversity. The reason that we had set up the task force is not to deal with a movie or even just one movie company when we dealt with Sony with these hacked emails. The reason that we did it is to deal with the fact that there is no black in Hollywood that can greenlight a movie. And almost 75% of the members of the Academy that in fact decide on the nominations are white. Over 90% are male. So the reason why you end up with only a black film and a black song being nominated now is you have a lack of diversity in the Academy members that choose the nominees in each area. That's why Anna's not nominated as director now. Now, how do you get nominated? You get nominated by people in your area. How do you get on the Academy? You are nominated by people in that area if you're a director, if you're a screenwriter, and you have to have 2 people in that area. Well, if the area is already exclusionary, then where you gonna get inclusionary nominees from an exclusionary pond? So that is why. Why is that important? Because the world sees the picture of American culture through the Academy Awards. And the Academy Awards does not reflect American culture. And that is why we're out there tomorrow. So let's be real clear on what we're doing and what we're not doing. And why we're doing it. Same thing that we have raised across the board in terms of our representation on television, our representation in music. Don't make us one-dimensional. Every time you see us, why are we in a negative light? Why are we projected as thugs and gangsters only? Well, Rev, they got white thugs and gangsters. Yeah, but that ain't all they got. But the only thing we are projected, the majority of what we are projected is in a negative light. One of the reasons that I grew up wanting to be a minister and a civil rights leader is that was what was projected to me from my home training.
That's right. That's right.
So I lived in what you call the hood, but the hood wasn't in me, because my mother put a different role model in me. Let me tell you something. Your pursuits in life is not determined by where you are, it's determined by how you are trained and think where you are. So, people that were in the same building I was didn't have the same thought because they didn't have the same input. My mother, who was middle class, owned business with my father when I was born, lost it all when he abandoned us. But she never got too poor to bring me to church. Never got too poor to make me go to Sunday school. Never got too poor that I couldn't get on the bus and had to ride to Washington Temple for junior church on Friday night. And then when I joined Breadbasket, never too poor for me to get to Bethany on Saturday morning for Saturday rallies like we have now. Why? Because she understood that in growing I may make mistakes in life. But if I am grounded and rooted in a thought and role model process, I will return into what she put in me because it's in me. Many of you don't understand that you can't return a child to which you never put in a child. You know, I was talking with Reverend Michael Walron the other night. There's this a part of a magnet, the scope in the magnet, and he was talking about how Reverend Sam Proctor had made a message about how you can bury a compass. You can deal with a compass, put it in the ground, leave it there for years, and when you come back and dig it up, the scope in that compass is still pointed north. Same direction. You can take it to China. When you look at it, it's still going to be pointed north. Because a compass is guided by the scope in it to always point back to what it is. No matter what you are, your nature will always point back to the real you. So you can take a thug and have the thug around saints, and a thug will be trying to figure out something thuggish. But the reverse is true. You can take a saint around thugs, and the saint will be trying to figure out how to convert the thugs and make them good. You're going to be what is in you to be. I tell my daughter, Ashley runs the social desk for my radio show. So she spent a lot of time with me, and I told her, people write these articles about me saying, and when I became a certain age, in my teen years, and met James Brown, became like his son, that defined me. You know what defined me? Is while I was traveling around the world with James Brown, I decided to leave that and come back to Brooklyn and build National Youth Movement and on the National Action Network, because the compass in me still pointed north. So even though I was in Vegas, in private plane, place with all the money, the compass in me wasn't pointing to that, it was pointing back to social justice. You're gonna be what you wanna be. And the reason you see some of us so schizo is we're fighting against the direction of the compass in our own soul. If you want to see somebody off, let their compass be pointing north and they keep trying to pull it south and they're at war with themselves. That's what's wrong with you. You get up every day at war with yourself because rather than be who you were born to be, you're trying to be what you let somebody tell you that is an easier route for you. It may look easier, but it's not you. God called you, he knew what he was doing. Well, I wouldn't do that because this is what you can do and it's an easier route. But it ain't your route. I'd have made a whole lot more money staying with James Brown, Don King and them. But I would not have been happy. Ain't nothing worse than somebody unhappy with no direction with plenty of money because then you can afford to do all of the things to try and deal with the pain and the emptiness you feel. I'd rather be broke with direction than rich with no direction. Because rich folk with no direction go on drugs. Rich folk with no direction jump off buildings. Rich folk with no direction start running around sleeping with everybody. Hello. That's what when you lost and can afford to cover your loss, you really lost. But if you focused and follow the compass in your soul, God done already figured out what you're trying to figure out. All you got to do is connect to what is already there. Well, I don't know what I ought to be. Where are you most fulfilled? What is the passion in you? That's where you're supposed to be. What you got to do, even if you don't want to do it. That's your calling. That's your compass saying you're supposed to be here. I can go to the House of Justice or the White House, say the same thing. Because my compass is lined up with my attitude and my mission and my function. So I can tell Obama and Rudy, same thing. I ain't changed. People talk about it as Sharpton, as long, sweet, developed, and reinvented, but he's got the same mess because I'm the same Sharpton. But the reason, I'm going to leave you with this. The reason why a lot of y'all change 1 minute, I know folk, every minute, they in something else. I'm a member of this church. Now I went and joined, the spirit wasn't right. I went and joined something else. But I didn't like how they did this. They've been a member of 5 churches and ain't old enough. Something wrong with you, ain't nothing wrong with them churches. But in 10 organizations and ain't 40 years old, something wrong with you. But the reason you keep twitching is because you're running away from who you're supposed to be. And if you would just settle and center and know that if you submit to what God has ordered your steps to be, that God will give you the strength you didn't think you had. And that's what faith is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I tell Dominique, I tell all my daughters, faith is not what you can figure out. Problem, y'all sitting up trying to figure out step A, B, C. That's one of the disadvantages. Brother was good about technology. But one of the disadvantages of a technological age is that we think we can figure everything out. There's some things that you can't Google up the answer. There's some things you're going to face in life that your laptop can't figure out. And that's where faith is. Faith is when you can't figure it out. Faith is when Google can't bring you there. Faith is when it don't seem like there's a way out. But then you say deep in your soul that I know what I know what I know. And even though I can't see it, I know it's there. Even though I don't know how and when and where, I know God wouldn't have brought me this far to lead me now. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to get it done. I know he never makes a mistake. I know he will if I submit to his will. That's what faith is. That's why great-grandma knew even as a slave. I don't know how. I don't know where, but God will make a way. I may not live to see it, but my great-grandchild will. I believe he'll make a way. And I'm a witness today. That's why 50 years after they shot Malcolm down in cold blood, they calling his name all over the world. God will make a way. That's why 50 years after they beat John Lewis on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, the Academy Award got to talk about a movie called Selma. God will make a way. That's why just a few years ago we couldn't vote. Now they mad because a black man got more votes twice to be the president of the United States. If you be faithful over a few things, he'll make you rule over many. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen is what you can't see. But you hold on anyhow. Hold on. I know it's dark, but hold on. It looked dark in Staten Island, but hold on. It looked bleak in Ferguson, but hold on. Weeping may endure for a night, but if we hold on, if we keep the faith, joy coming in the morning. Hold on. Hold out. Keep the faith. Everybody sing. Everybody